Hello everyone, my name is Indah Iswani and PM number 2121222011. We are from Group 2 and I will be leading our presentation today. So we will be presenting our teaching video analysis result, and the video is ESL Grammar Demo Listen. We got it from YouTube and it is by Chris from the Language House. But before we get into it, let's get to know our members first. So as you can see on the screen, we have Adinda, Fayza, Anshari, myself, Indah Nurmala Iswani, Irda, Saniati, Munawaroh, Julianty Dwi Nugraha, Tiara, Zahra, Agustine, and then finally we have Zahrani Rabiultsani. We will be dividing our presentation into two parts. First of all, we will watch the video and analyze it together, and then second of all, we will present to you our analysis result according to the question that has been given by Mrs. Dea. Originally, we would have a quick Q&A session if it is done offline, but yes, it is online, so maybe you can drop your question on the comment section below. Right, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, the first session, let's watch the video together.
So, what's my name?
Chris.
Good. Ask me a question about me. I'm from the United States. From Minnesota. Like Brandon Walsh. Everyone else. That's right. Any question? Holiday in a month? And I don't know where to go. Should I go here? What's this? Okay, or good. Or should I go over here? Good. So, what do you think? Both. I can't go both. No.
You can.
No. Only the other. Good one. To the mountains. Why? Please, Peter, ask me this question.
What's the best place you've been on holiday?
I think the best place that I've been on holiday is Greece. I love it there. The Greek islands are beautiful. Question number 2, please, Tiara.
Who did you go with and how long did you stay?
I went with one of my best friends from high school, and we stayed there for about 3 weeks. Please, Hamza, can make things bad. So, in a group of 3 over here, and a group of 3 over here, please discuss. That's the I was
in Indonesia, in Ireland, so it's my best.
Every day another.
It could be.
Fly through.
It's like a holiday.
Just a good.
And I can hear.
Okay, 2 more minutes, guys.
I can hear sound.
Okay, guys, that's good. Please. What is it? Kristen?
Yes.
Ask a question to someone here. Ask one of these questions.
What the best place to have been on holiday? Hello?
I stayed there for 6 months.
Good. Ask and try.
What things make a holiday attractive? Food is important.
Ask a question, go up.
And what things can make a holiday horrible?
When I was in Greece, for instance, 10 years ago I suffered from diarrhea. It's pretty terrible.
Now you can imagine. I think regardless of where you are, it's always horrible when you have diarrhea. What does this mean here? Yeah? What does it mean? Now you can have something that's very good, but if something is very, 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 very good, what word can you use?
Happy.
No.
Great.
Okay, great is one, but can you think of one with an A?
Awesome.
Yeah, excellent. So what is the difference between good and awesome?
Awesome is much better.
Very good. You can say very good, right? That's correct. Can you say very awesome? No, why not?
It's the maximum.
Right, yeah. We call these verbs here, gradable. Sorry, these adjectives, excuse me, adjectives. And we call these ungradable. Great. English is very, very easy. Good, excellent. So in a group of 3 over here, 2 here, and 2 here, please go through those and match the gradable and the ungradable adjective. Yes, good. Very good. Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Good. With the words, Peter, can you come to the board? And we'll say one of these words, like for hot, and you write the ungradable adjective. So if I say hot, what would you write?
Boiling.
Okay, good. Right. And say another word, and let's see if she can do it.
Angry.
Furious.
Good. Furious.
Furious.
You obviously.
Great, thank you. So let's go over the pronunciation. Say this.
Gorgeous.
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 It's a j sound. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Good. Gorgeous. Good.
Gorgeous.
So I'm going to say the word, the first degradable adjective, and you have to say the other adjective as fast as you can. So for example, cold.
Very cold.
Not good. Great, great. Tasty.
Delicious.
Good. Angry.
Furious.
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 Good. Hot. Let's think of some things that we do on a holiday. Where do we stay, first of all?
Tent.
Okay, a tent. That's like a hotel for now. And a hotel has what? It's what you do this in.
Swim.
Good. And then usually the people that work at a hotel are called what, in general?
Staff.
Good.
The staff.
Now, the staff or the staff. Good. And then on holiday, you can go out to bars and clubs and see things. What's that called?
My part.
Perfect. Excellent. Be cold, hot, rainy, snowy. That's all the... Good. Ask me a question. Because I just went on a holiday. Ask me any question about this.
When you were on holiday, was there a pool?
Yes, there was a pool, but it was freezing. It was absolutely freezing. Good. That's it.
What was the weather? Was nice.
Oh no, the weather was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. It was boiling the whole entire time. Good. So I want you guys to work in a group of 2, in a group of 2, in a group of 3. You and you and you are more moderate people. You're more moderate. So things are not amazing. They're good. The other people are extreme. So the food is always
Absolutely delicious.
yeah, and say it like you mean it. It's
Delicious.
absolutely delicious. Talk to each other using these words here and use these adjectives here, please.
Very, very beautiful hotel and very nice.
Now, it wasn't just very beautiful, it was absolutely good, excellent, great. Yeah, just a little bit of money. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Very good. So,
This were for me boring, but the locals were absolutely amazing. Really, it was fantastic for
good.
me.
Good. I'll take it back. Thank you very much. So, really quick, some mistakes here. I have been last summer. I was, yeah. So, thank you very much. Take a break.
Okay, now we've come to our main session where we will be presenting our analysis result. And our first speaker would be Julianty Dwi Nugraha. She will be answering question 1, 2, and 3. Julianty, time is yours.
My name is Julianty Dwi Nugraha and my student's number is 212122028. Here, I will answer first, second, and third questions. Number 1. What is the topic of teaching and learning process? The answer is, the topic of teaching and learning process is about grammar learning through daily conversation focusing on holiday. Number 2. Who are the students? From the video, we can see that the students are adults, both male and female. Number 3. What kind of engagement activities did the teacher do in pre-activity stage? There are ice-breaking, or the teacher let the students ask about himself. The teacher asked his students to read his name written on the whiteboard, and he asked one of his students to ask a question about him. Then the student asked, "Where are you from, sir?" And the teacher answered, "I am from United States." And the last is introducing and preparing them for conversation exchange. The teacher asked the students to read a question on the whiteboard, then the teacher answered it. Okay, the next question will answered by Zahrani.
I'm Zahrani Rabiultsani with student's ID number is 212122022. I will answer the question number 4 and 5. Number 4. What did the teacher do in the core activity? What materials did he present? What did he ask the student to do to study the topic or theme? What did he ask the students to practice? What did he do while the students practicing? Alright, in the core activity of a lesson consists of discussion, practice, and presentation. In the core activity of the video, the teacher did so many activities involving reading, writing, speaking, and listening. The teacher delivered material about the grammar lesson. In the beginning, the teacher asked the student to discuss and mention some statements that have been discussed. Then, he explained the material about grammar. And then, the teacher asked the student to discuss matching some words, writing them on the whiteboard and mention the words. Finally, the teacher asked the student to say the words about holidays and discussed doing activation group work. And then the teacher makes observation of each group. And then number 5. What kind of farm-down activities did the teacher do in the post-activity? Alright, the kind of farm-down activities in the post-activity is to show some mistakes in the practice that has been done. This is done after the students conduct discussion and practice. I think that's all from me. The next question will be answered by Adinda.
Okay, I'm Adinda, Fayza, and Anshari, and now I'm going to explain number 6. Number 6, the question is, what has been conducted effectively in the teaching and learning process? Please compare the result of your analysis with the principles of effective instruction. So number 6 is related to the effectively of teaching and learning process. So in our opinion, the teaching and learning process in the video is quite effective because there are several principles of effective instruction in the video. So for example, the first one is teacher's knowledge of the subject matter. So it is plainly obvious in the video that the teacher is mastered the course material, and then the next one is interaction between teachers and students. So in the video also we can see that the teacher is trying to make interaction with the students even from the beginning. When the teacher asked the student to ask a question to the teacher, it was the beginning of the interaction between teacher and student. And also the introduction part is just full of interaction between the teacher and student. And then the next one is learning is enhanced in an atmosphere of cooperation. So when the teacher um, asks the student to make a group for a discussion, the student actually can learn from each other, but also the teacher still accompanies the student. So this point is like a combination with between the interaction between teacher and student, and also learning is enhanced in an atmosphere of cooperation. And last but not least is both teaching and learning are enhanced by descriptive feedback. So in the video, after the students' discussion, the teachers points out some students' error. So overall, it can be said that the teaching and learning process in the video is effective. And then the next one, number 7. So number 7, the question is, how did the teacher structure his presentation? So it's related to structuring the presentation. So we all know there are 3 points from the structuring the presentation. The first one is introduction, and then main part, and also closing. So in the introduction, the teacher introduced himself, even though the way he introduced himself is a bit unusual. So he writes his name on the whiteboard and then asks the students to say his name, and then ask the student to make a question as an introduction for him. And also this part is actually is an icebreaker segment in the video, but we think that this also can be in the introduction. And then in the main part, he tries to start the or lead the demo or the topic with a picture that he draws. So ask the student with a question on a whiteboard to him. And also the topic material is about holidays, and they learn about vocabulary and pronunciation. And there's also practice like match the grading and ungrading words, and also guess the grading words from another among the students, example like angry and furious. And when the discussion the material is the material discussed is related to the practice and also some mistake from the student. And also the last one is the closing part. So in the closing part, after the students discussion and practice, the teachers points out some mistake. And that's all from me. So the next material or the next question will be explained by Tiara.
I will answer the question number 8 and 9. Number 8, here the basic presentation skills in his performance. Voice. His voice could be heard clearly by the students. The tempo is quite fast, and he also used tone and pitch so that students are not monotonous in listening to the material. Body language. He made eye contact not to just one person, but balance to everyone. His posture shows his confidence, and his gestures attract attention. If there is a student who wants to answer a question or express an opinion, he pays more attention, like getting closer to the students. About humor, he also has good humor. And number 9, about strategies. The teacher has effective strategies in learning. He is interactive in his presentations, and his students are invited to contribute actively. He actively asks questions so that students also participate in learning. This shows the learning activities are supportive and cooperative. In addition,
In addition, in his presentations, he presented the material little by little and presented the material in practice accompanied by guidance. We think this is an effective strategy in learning a foreign language. Then, compared to the suggested practice, this lesson contradicts that says non-threatening learning environment. For us, and for me personally, the way he acts were too loose, like throwing things here and there, kind of gives of a threatening atmosphere. That's enough from me. Next material will be delivered by Irda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the time. Number 10. How did the teacher manage the class? First, lesson plan. The teacher designed a lesson plan that will be used during the learning process. Why is it said that the teacher has designed the lesson plan when in the video it does not appear that the teacher made it? Okay, because it can be seen during class learning as at the beginning there was an icebreaker, introduction, lead-in demo, lead-in group work or discussion, feedback, activation task creation, activation demo, activation group work, and finally ending. All of that was planned by the teacher before the teacher entered the class. And second, state his authority. The teacher has the grasp of the class and knows how to handle the students. The teacher managed the class quite well, starting from making the student aware of his position as a teacher in the class. He stated his authority with his way of teaching. And third, full control of the class flow. Teachers are able to handle class activities well. When it comes to class activities, such as practice, the teacher was also able to handle the activities really well. He gave the students instruction, he accompanied their learning process, he let them practice and he earned. Then, when the time is up, he clapped his hand to signal that, and all of the students are following through his course of activities until the end of the list. Okay, next, number 11, the amount of the delivered material. First, sufficient materials. The material presented was neither too much nor too little. Therefore, our group thinks the material is already enough. And second, gradually delivered, step by step. When learning takes place, the teacher starts it gradually, starting from an icebreaker, then introduction, then lead-in demo, then lead-in group work, then feedback, then activation task creation, then activation demo, then activation group work, and finally ending. And third, learning doesn't always focus on the teacher. When learning is going on, the learning was not only explained by the teacher, but there were also activation demo and group work as well. Okay, that's enough for me. The next material will be explained by Indah Nurmala Iswani.
Okay, hello again everyone. I'm Indah Nurmala Iswani and PM 2121222011. I will be answering question number 12 and 13. First of all, we will talk about how the teacher handles questions and mistakes. Unfortunately, we couldn't find any segment where the students asked a question to the teacher, so we will focus on the mistakes, okay? Alright. Now, I found various ways of how the teacher responds to mistakes. First of all, he is being very straightforward. Take a look at this video.
If something is very, 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 very good, what word can you use? Happy. No.
So in this part, the teacher asked the students to guess a word. And one of them answered wrong, and the teacher immediately said no. Straightforwardly, like very like no pause, straightforward. I will be talking about it more later. The second way he did it is by signaling the mistake. Take a look at this video.
Furious.
She made a spelling mistake, and so the teacher is signaling her by making that expression and noise like But I'm not a fan of this way of response because it leaves the students confused of what did she do wrong. You notice the expression on her face? I understand that he did it so that the student would figure things out by herself and fix it, but still, I'm not a fan. Now the last way he did it is by repetition and immediate correction. Take a look at this clip.
And you have to say the other adjective as fast as you can. So for example, cold.
Very cold.
Not good. Great. Tasty.
Delicious.
Good. Angry.
Furious?
Furious.
Furious.
Good.
A student made a pronunciation mistake and the teacher immediately corrected. I mean, that is just a normal response. This one is better than the other two because he didn't point out the mistake, rather he just corrects it, just like how a teacher would do. And afterward, he also gave a praise to the student, saying good. Okay, now that you guys have heard the explanation from my friends regarding this teacher teaching method, so is there any improvement that we could do to make his teaching a lot more effective? Well, after some discussion, we found some points that would be great if it is being improved. So first of all, it would be better if he added a lot more variety and colorful visual aid, because you notice how he only used the whiteboard as his media. He wrote down the words, he drew on the board. So they were talking about holiday, right? And if we're talking about holiday, we would think about destination, places. And you notice how he drew that mountain and beach kind of like thing? Well, imagine if we use an actual image of the destination, how colorful and beautiful it would be, and that would definitely give the students a better image of what a holiday is, right? Okay, the next one is his gesture and response. Take a look at this video, please.
In a group of 3 over here, 2 here, and 2 here, please go through those and match the gradable and the ungradable.
You notice how he just threw the materials to the students? Do you think that's an appropriate behavior for a teacher? No, right? Well, sure, some people might consider his way of teaching as fun, chill, and unique, perhaps. But not all people will accept this, right? Generally speaking. Because if I were the student and I see my teacher throwing the stuff at me, I would be confused. Like, excuse me? Right? So it wouldn't hurt him to actually take a few steps forward and hand the materials nicely. Okay, the last point actually has something to do with question number 12 about the way he responds to mistakes. You remember how I said he was being pretty straightforward before? Well, our group thinks it would be better if he could choose the proper words instead. Like, instead of being very short and straightforward, you can perhaps you can try to sugarcoat your way of response. Sugarcoating is like giving a sweet layer to something you would love to express to make it lighter and easier to accept. For example, rather than saying no, you could say like, not quite. Good guess though. Anything else? So you notice how in this response, I don't want to emphasize on the no, you're wrong, but I want to emphasize on the good job, good guess. Like, I want to validate their answer, their bravery to answer. And then I would love to encourage them to try again by saying anything else. So yes, don't you think this would be a better way to respond rather than saying no? Right? I mean, sure, it doesn't seem like a big of a deal, but this will make the students feel safer and comfortable in that teaching environment. So the last point I told you about his gestures and behavior and the way he responds is to create a non-threatening environment for the students to learn. Because in a non-threatening environment, the students would feel safe, they would feel comfortable, they would feel safe to make mistakes, because what is learning if we don't make mistakes, right? And yes, if we have a non-threatening environment, surely learning would be a lot more effective. Okay, we've come to the end of our presentation. So if you guys have any questions regarding our presentation or would love to correct or add up to our materials, feel free to drop a comment on the comment sections below, because this will be a video on YouTube, right? And yes, that's all from us. Thank you so much for listening and giving your attention. You did, right? And yeah, that's all. Goodbye.